Captain Jinmako sat in the dark control room, watching the screens that showed empty space around Earth. His coffee had gone cold hours ago, but he did not care. Something was wrong. The deep space sensors had picked up strange signals 3 days ago, and now they were getting stronger. Jin had been a soldier for 15 years. He started in special operations, fighting in the small wars that most people forgot about. Now he worked for Earth Defense Force, watching for threats from space. Most days were boring. Today was different. Dr. So Hana walked into the room carrying a data pad. She looked tired. Her black hair was pulled back in a messy ponytail, and her lab coat had coffee stains on it. She had been working for 2 days straight, trying to understand the signals. "Jin, you need to see this," she said, sitting down next to him. She put the data pad on the table between them. "These signals are not natural. Someone is sending them." Jin looked at the data. Numbers and graphs filled the screen, but he did not understand most of it. "What does it mean?" "It means we are not alone," So said quietly. "And whoever is sending these signals has technology far beyond ours. They are scanning our planet, learning about us." The main screen in the room suddenly went white. Then words appeared, written in perfect English. Jin and So stared at the message. "People of Earth, we are the Valtharan Empire. We rule 847 star systems across this galaxy. You are a primitive species that has developed basic space travel. This makes you useful as workers and soldiers for our empire." Jin felt his heart beat faster. So grabbed his arm. The message continued. "You have 72 hours to surrender completely. Your leaders must announce on all communication channels that Earth submits to Valtharan rule. If you refuse, we will destroy your cities and take your planet by force." This is not a negotiation. This is an order. The screen went black. For a moment, neither Jin nor So spoke. "Call Admiral Kai," Jin said finally. "Call him now." Admiral Kai Ryan arrived at the defense center within an hour. He was a tall man with gray hair and calm eyes. Jin had served under him before and knew that Kai never panicked, even in the worst situations. Today, Kai looked almost relaxed. "Show me what we know," Kai said, sitting down at the main table. So activated the holographic display. A map of the solar system appeared in the air above them. Red dots showed where the alien signals were coming from. "They have at least 12 large ships positioned around our solar system," So explained. "Each ship is about 5 kilometers long. Their technology is definitely more advanced than ours, but what?" Kai asked. "But I think they have made some wrong assumptions about us," So said. She changed the display to show Earth's orbital infrastructure. They scanned our planet and saw our space stations, our satellite networks, our shipping routes. "But I don't think they understand what they are really looking at." Jin leaned forward. "What do you mean?" So smiled for the first time in days. "They think our cargo ships are just cargo ships. They think our mining platforms are just mining platforms. They think our communication satellites are just communication satellites." Kai nodded slowly. "And they have no idea that we built all of those things to be weapons if we needed them to be." "Exactly," So said. "Every human structure in space has dual purposes. We learned that lesson from our history on Earth. Always be ready for war." The communication system beeped. A message was coming in from Earth's government centers. World leaders were calling emergency meetings. News channels were broadcasting panic reports. Stock markets were crashing. Jin watched the chaos on the news feeds. "The politicians are going to want to surrender." "Some will," Kai agreed. "But they will not make this decision alone." Kai stood up and walked to the communication console. He pressed several buttons, opening channels to every human military base, space station, and colony ship in the solar system. "This is Admiral Kai Ryan of Earth Defense Force," he said. His voice was calm and clear. "By now you have all heard the alien ultimatum. Some of you may be afraid. Some of you may think we should surrender to save lives." Jin watched as confirmations came in from across the solar system. Military commanders, ship captains, and station chiefs were all listening. "But I want you to remember something," Kai continued. "Humans do not surrender. We never have. When someone threatens our home, we fight. When someone tries to enslave us, we fight. When someone believes they can defeat us easily, we show them how wrong they are." The Admiral paused, looking at Jin and So. Then he smiled. "These aliens wanted war. They think they are hunters and we are prey. They have made a terrible mistake. They do not understand what humans are capable of when someone threatens our families." Kai pressed another button, opening all communication channels across Earth and every human settlement. People of Earth, people of the colonies, people of space. This is Admiral Kai Ryan. I speak for all of humanity's military forces. We have received the alien ultimatum. Here is our response. The room was completely quiet. Jin could hear his own heartbeat. You wanted war, Kai said, his voice now cold as ice. We accept. You believe you will conquer us easily. You believe we are weak and primitive. You are about to learn the truth about humanity. We are the species that turned hunting into art. We are the species that made war into science. We are the species that survived by being the most dangerous predators on our planet. Kai looked directly into the camera. You will regret coming here. You will regret threatening our world. You will regret underestimating us. This is not a negotiation. This is a promise. Prepare for your doom. The transmission ended. Jin felt a chill run down his spine. He had seen Kai in combat before, but never like this. So was staring at her data pad, but Jin could see she was smiling. You know what the best part is? She said. What? Jin asked. They gave us 72 hours. That is more than enough time to prepare our surprise for them. Admiral Kai was already walking toward the door. Jin, contact all deep space patrol ships. Tell them to maintain their disguises but move into attack positions. So I want you to prepare detailed scans of their ships. Find their weaknesses. What about the world leaders? Jin asked. They are going to panic. Kai paused at the door. Let them panic. While they argue about surrender, we will prepare for war. In 72 hours, those aliens are going to discover what happens when someone threatens humanity's home. The Admiral left the room. Jin and So looked at each other. Do you think we can really win? So asked quietly. Jin thought about all the hidden weapons in Earth's orbital structures. He thought about the thousands of soldiers waiting in disguised ships. He thought about humanity's long history of surviving by fighting. They made one crucial mistake, Jin said finally. What mistake? They told us they were coming. The Veltharan fleet moved through space like silver sharks. High Commander Vexthai stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the third planet grow larger on the main screen. In 3 hours, the human surrender deadline would pass. He did not expect them to surrender. Primitive species never did. Commander, his tactical officer reported, we are detecting approximately 40 human vessels in nearby space. They appear to be cargo ships and mining platforms. Vexthai nodded. The humans were trying to evacuate their valuable equipment. It was a logical but useless effort. His ships could destroy anything that moved. Weapons status? He asked. All ships ready for combat. Our shields are active, plasma cannons are charged. Begin the attack. Destroy their cargo ships first. Show them what happens to those who refuse our empire. Lieutenant Wu Dami was floating in her fighter cockpit, hidden inside what looked like a broken piece of space debris. Her ship was powered down almost completely. To any scanner, she would look like scrap metal from an old satellite. She could see the alien fleet approaching through her periscope. 12 massive ships, each one bigger than anything humans had ever built. But size was not everything. Her grandmother had taught her that when hunting, the small and clever could defeat the large and proud. This is Debris Field Leader, she whispered into her radio. Enemy fleet is in position. All fishing boats prepare to reveal your true nature. Around her, 40 other pieces of space junk began to power up. What the aliens thought were broken satellites and floating garbage were actually advanced fighter ships, each one loaded with the most powerful weapons Earth could build. The first Veltharan attack beam hit what they thought was a cargo ship. Instead of exploding, the cargo ship split open like a flower. Hidden inside was a battlecruiser 3 times larger than what had been visible. Its weapons were already charging. All ships, this is Captain Nabin, came the voice over the radio. Drop your disguises. Show these aliens what human cargo really looks like. Across the battlefield, human ships revealed their true forms. Mining platforms unfolded into orbital weapon systems. Communication satellites became guided missiles. Transport ships opened to release swarms of fighters. Wu activated her engines and shot toward the nearest alien vessel. Her ship was small and fast, designed for close combat. The aliens had never seen anything like human fighter tactics. Unknown vessels, came a transmission from the alien fleet. You are using weapons of war disguised as civilian equipment. This violates all civilized laws of combat. Wu laughed as she dodged a plasma blast. Civilized laws of combat? You threaten to destroy our cities and enslave our people. We do not fight by your rules. She dove under the alien ship and fired her main weapon at its engine section. The blast tore through their shields like paper. Apparently, the aliens had never learned to protect against small, fast attacks from below. General Tae-Gyeon was watching the space battle from his command center on Earth's surface. As ground forces commander, his job was to prepare for invasion. But he had other plans. Status report from the outer colonies, he said to his aide. All sleeper cells are active, sir. Our people have been living on alien-controlled worlds for the past 5 years, pretending to be traders and explorers. They are ready to begin sabotage operations, Tae nodded. Most species explored space to find new homes and resources. Humans explored space to find new battlefields and to place hidden soldiers where they might be needed. Every human colony ship carried not just civilians but trained commandos ready to cause chaos behind enemy lines. Give them the green light, Tae ordered. Tell them to use Protocol 7. Protocol 7 meant no mercy. No prisoners. No witnesses. Engineer Bo Kwan was smiling as he watched his creation work. For 3 years, he had been building what everyone thought was a simple communication array on the dark side of Earth's moon. Politicians had complained about the cost. Scientists had questioned why it needed to be so large. Now they knew why. The communication array was actually a mass driver capable of accelerating projectiles to incredible speeds. Bo had just fired a tungsten rod the size of a telephone pole at the alien command ship. The rod was moving at nearly 1/10 the speed of light. The aliens never saw it coming. Direct hit on target Alpha. Bo reported to Admiral Kai. Their command ship is completely destroyed. How long until you can fire again? Kai asked. Give me 12 minutes to recharge and realign. You have it. Choose your next target carefully. Back in space, the battle was turning into a massacre. The aliens had expected to fight a traditional space battle against a weaker enemy. Instead, they were facing tactics they had never seen before. Lieutenant Wu and her fighters were using gravity assist maneuvers around Earth's moon to build up speed, then diving at the alien ships from impossible angles. The aliens could not predict where the attacks would come from. Captain Na's disguised battlecruisers were working together like a pack of wolves, surrounding individual alien ships and destroying them with concentrated fire. When the aliens tried to group together for protection, the human ships would scatter and attack from new directions. Commander Vexthai, his tactical officer, reported, "We have lost 4 ships. The humans are using combat techniques we have never encountered." Vexthai stared at the battle display. This was impossible. His intelligence report said the humans were a young species with limited space combat experience. How were they fighting like veterans of 1,000 wars? Send a message to the nearest Imperial fleet, he ordered. Request immediate reinforcements. Sir, that will take them 6 days to arrive. Then we hold position and defend until they get here. But the humans were not finished with their surprises. On 17 different worlds that the Valtharan Empire controlled, human sleeper agents were beginning their work. What the aliens had thought were peaceful traders were actually demolitions experts, hackers, and assassins. Power plants exploded. Communication networks went dark. Supply ships disappeared without a trace. The humans had spent years learning about alien technology and infrastructure. Now they were using that knowledge to bring the Empire's military machine to a grinding halt. Engineer Bo fired his mass driver again. This time his target was the alien supply ship carrying ammunition and spare parts. The tungsten rod punched through the ship like it was made of paper. That should slow down their reload times, Bo said with satisfaction. Lieutenant Wu was diving toward another alien cruiser when her radio crackled. All fighters. This is Admiral Kai. Phase 1 is complete. Begin Phase 2, Wu smiled. Phase 1 had been the ambush. Phase 2 was the hunt. You heard the Admiral, she said to her wing. Time to show these aliens what humans do to predators who threaten our young. The alien fleet was now scattered and confused. Half their ships were destroyed or badly damaged. Their command structure was in chaos. They had no idea how many human ships were still hidden in the debris field. Commander Vexthai realized with growing horror that his fleet was not the hunter in this situation. They were the prey. All ships, he transmitted, retreat to safe distance. We need time to regroup and understand their tactics. But as his ships tried to pull back, they discovered that the humans had surrounded them. The retreat routes were blocked by more disguised human vessels. Admiral Kai's voice came over the open communication channel. Commander Vexthai of the Valtharan Empire. This is Admiral Kai Ryan of humanity. You demanded our surrender. Instead, we offer you a lesson. This is what happens when someone threatens our home. This is what happens when someone underestimates humanity. The last thing Commander Vexthai saw was a small human fighter diving straight at his bridge windows. Firing everything it had, the first battle was over. The aliens had learned their first lesson about humanity. They were no longer the predators in this war. Commander Yu Minho sat in the captured alien communications center, watching screens full of enemy military transmissions. The humans had taken this base 3 days ago, and Yu was now using their own equipment against them. He was very good at psychological warfare, and he was about to give the alien empire something to think about. "Dr. Mi, are you ready?" he asked. Dr. Mi Sion looked up from her medical equipment. She was officially a combat doctor, but she had other skills that most people did not talk about. During the old wars on Earth, she had learned how to get information from prisoners. She was very effective at her job. "The alien prisoner is secured," she reported. "General Kexmar from their 3rd Fleet. He should have interesting things to tell us." Yu nodded and activated the transmission system. Soon every Valtharan ship in the sector would receive his broadcast. "Soldiers of the Valtharan Empire," Yu said in perfect alien language. "This is Commander Yu of the Human Forces. We want to show you something about the species you chose to fight." The main screen activated, showing footage from Earth's history. First came images of ancient human warriors, Romans fighting in arenas, medieval knights in battle, samurai with their swords. The aliens would see humans killing each other with primitive weapons, but doing it with skill and joy. "This is how humans spent their early years," Yu explained. "While your species was learning to farm and build cities, humans were perfecting the art of war. We fought each other because we had no one else to fight." The footage changed to show more recent wars: human soldiers in trenches, fighter pilots in aerial combat, special forces operations in the dark. The aliens would see that human warfare had become more sophisticated, but never less violent. "Your intelligence reports tell us that your species eliminated war from your society 50,000 years ago." Yu continued. "You edited violence out of your genes. You forgot how to be dangerous. This was your greatest mistake." Captain Nabin was watching the broadcast from her position inside an alien supply depot. She had infiltrated the base 2 days ago, disguised as a maintenance worker. The aliens had security systems, but they were designed to detect weapons and explosives. They were not designed to detect a human who could kill with her bare hands. She had spent the last 2 days studying alien technology and copying their military files. What she had learned was both useful and disturbing. "Yu, are you getting my data transmission?" she whispered into her communicator. "Received," Yu replied. "This is incredible information, Na. Keep transmitting." The data Na had stolen showed the true history of the Valtharan Empire. 50,000 years ago they had been warriors like humans, but their wars had become so destructive that they nearly destroyed themselves. So they had used genetic engineering to remove the parts of their brains that caused aggression and violence. It had worked too well. The Valtharans had become completely peaceful, but they had also become weak. They conquered other species not through military strength, but by convincing them that war was pointless. Most species in the galaxy agreed and joined the Empire willingly. But humans were different. Humans had never stopped being warriors. "This explains everything," Na said as she copied more files. "They rule through fear and superior technology, but they have no idea how to actually fight a war." Dr. Mi was beginning her work with the alien prisoner. General Kexmar was strapped to a medical table, connected to monitoring equipment. He was conscious and aware, but he could not move. "Please," he said in broken English, "I am a military officer. There are rules about treatment of prisoners." Mi smiled, but it was not a friendly smile. "General, your empire threatened to destroy our cities and enslave our children. You do not get to lecture us about rules." She activated a device that would cause intense pain without permanent damage. The general screamed. "Now," Mi said calmly, "let us discuss the location of your homeworld and the structure of your government." Commander Yu was broadcasting the interrogation live to every Valtharan ship in the area. He wanted them to see what happened to their leaders when they fell into human hands. "Your empire believes that violence is primitive and uncivilized," Yu said to his alien audience. "But violence is a tool like any other. When used correctly, it is very effective." The alien prisoner was telling me everything she wanted to know: the location of the Valtharan homeworld, the number of ships in their navy, the identity of their emperor and high council. All of this information was being recorded and transmitted to human forces across the galaxy, but Yu was more interested in the psychological effect on the alien soldiers listening to the broadcast. "I want you to understand. Something about humans, you continued. We developed space travel not to explore the universe, but to find new enemies to fight. Every human colony is also a military base. Every human civilian has combat training. Every human diplomat is a trained killer. He changed the transmission to show footage from human colonies. The aliens would see children learning martial arts in school. They would see farmers who could field-strip military weapons. They would see scientists who spent their free time designing better explosives. This is what a warrior species looks like, you explained. We never stopped being dangerous because danger is part of what makes us human. Captain Na had finished copying the alien files and was now planting explosives throughout the supply depot. But she took her time, making sure the aliens would see her on their security cameras before the base exploded. I am ready to leave, she reported. The aliens will have video footage of a single human destroying their entire supply operation. Perfect. Make sure they get a good look at your face. Na smiled and looked directly at the nearest security camera. She wanted the aliens to remember her. Then she activated the explosives and disappeared into the ventilation system. The supply depot exploded with enough force to be seen from orbit. The aliens would realize that one human soldier had infiltrated their most secure facility and destroyed months of supplies. Dr. Mi was finishing her work with the alien prisoner. General Kexmar had told her everything he knew, but now she had a different purpose for him. General, she said, you are going to deliver a message to your emperor. What message? He asked weakly. Tell him that this is what humans do to our enemies. Tell him that we have been fighting wars for our entire history, and we are very good at it. Tell him that his empire made a terrible mistake when it threatened Earth. She injected him with a drug that would keep him alive, but in constant pain for the next several weeks. Tell your emperor that this pain is nothing compared to what we will do to him if he does not surrender. Immediately, Commander Yu was ending his broadcast with footage from human entertainment. The aliens would see movies about war, video games about combat, sports where humans hurt each other for fun. This is how humans relax, Yu explained. We watch stories about violence. We play games about fighting. We compete in activities where the goal is to defeat and dominate our opponents. The final image was from a human mixed martial arts competition. Two fighters were beating each other unconscious while thousands of people cheered. Your species eliminated violence from your culture, Yu concluded. But humans celebrate violence. We study it. We perfect it. We turned killing into an art form. He switched off the transmission and turned to Dr. Mi. How do you think they are taking the news? He asked. Mi was cleaning her equipment, preparing to question the next prisoner. I think they are beginning to understand what they have gotten themselves into. Across the Valtharan fleet, alien soldiers were staring at their screens in horror. They had expected to fight a primitive species with basic weapons. Instead, they had declared war on a species that had spent its entire existence perfecting the art of killing. The aliens were beginning to realize that they were not fighting soldiers. They were fighting demons. Captain Na was already moving toward her next target, another alien facility that needed to be destroyed. As she ran through the dark corridors of the enemy base, she thought about the fear she had seen in alien eyes. Good. Fear was a weapon, just like any other. And humans were experts at using every weapon available. The war was just beginning, and already the aliens were learning the most important lesson about humanity. Some species were born to explore the stars in peace. Others were born to paint those stars red with the blood of their enemies. Humans were definitely the second type. Admiral Han Jisoo stood on the bridge of her flagship, watching the swirling colors of hyperspace through the main window. Behind her, the largest human fleet ever assembled was racing toward the heart of the Valtharan Empire. 200 ships that had been destroyed in previous battles were actually hiding inside the hulks of real destroyed vessels, carrying 10,000 of humanity's best soldiers deep into enemy territory. Admiral, her tactical officer reported, we will reach the Valtharan core systems in 6 hours. Excellent, Han replied. Signal all ships. Begin final preparations for Operation Pandora's Box. The operation was named after an old Earth legend about releasing something terrible into the world. It was a perfect name for what they were about to do. Major Ri Hyun was checking his equipment in the ship's cargo bay. Around him, 200 commandos were preparing for the most dangerous mission in human history. They were going to capture and hold the Veltheron capital world until the alien government surrendered. Remember, Ree told his soldiers, we are not here to conquer their planet. We are here to break their spirit. The aliens have lived in peace for 50,000 years. They have forgotten what war really means. We are going to remind them. Each commando carried enough explosives to level a city block, but their real weapons were psychological. The aliens would learn that nowhere in their empire was safe from human revenge. Specialist A. Jin was working at her communication station, preparing to broadcast across the entire Veltheran Empire. She was an expert in electronic warfare, capable of taking control of any alien communication system. The aliens use their networks for everything: government, military, entertainment, education. Soon all of those networks would belong to humanity. Hey, are you ready? Admiral Han asked. Yes, Admiral. I can take control of their communication systems as soon as we exit hyperspace. Every screen in their empire will show whatever we want them to see. Good. I want them to watch what happens when they threaten humanity. The human fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Nexus system, home to the Veltheran capital world. The aliens had been expecting an attack on their military bases and industrial centers. Instead, the humans ignored those targets completely. All ships, Admiral Han broadcast, begin the Cultural Destruction Protocol. The first target was the Grand Museum of Veltheran History, a massive space station that contained 50,000 years of alien art and culture. The aliens considered it the most precious thing in their empire. This is Admiral Han Jisoo of the human fleet. She broadcast on all alien frequencies. We could destroy your military bases. We could attack your factories. Instead, we are going to destroy something more important. We are going to destroy who you are. The museum exploded in a ball of fire that could be seen from the surface of the capital world. 50,000 years of alien civilization vanished in seconds. Major Ree and his commandos were already on the surface, moving through the alien capital city. The Veltherans had no police force and no military guards. They had not needed them for thousands of years. Now they were helpless as human soldiers moved through their streets. Team Alpha, secure the government complex, Ree ordered. Team Beta, take the communication center. Team Gamma, I want you to capture the Emperor and his council, alive. The aliens ran in panic as armed humans appeared in their most sacred places. They had no weapons to fight back with. They had no training in combat. They could only watch as their leaders were dragged from their palaces by creatures they had never imagined could exist. Specialist IA had taken control of every screen in the Veltheran Empire. Billions of aliens were now watching as their capital burned and their government fell. People of the Veltheran Empire, AA broadcast, this is what happens when you threaten humanity. Your leaders thought they could enslave us. They thought we were weak and primitive. They were wrong. The aliens were seeing footage from the human assault on their capital. They watched human soldiers moving like ghosts through their security systems. They saw their military officers surrendering without firing a shot. They saw their emperor begging for mercy as he was dragged from his throne room. Your empire has ruled the galaxy for 50,000 years, AA continued. You conquered hundreds of species through fear and technology, but you never learned how to fight a real war. Today, that ignorance ends. Admiral Han was targeting the alien cultural centers one by one, philosophy academies that had trained alien thinkers for millennia, art galleries that contained the greatest works in Veltheran history, entertainment centers where aliens went to forget about the universe's dangers. Each target was destroyed slowly, carefully, so the aliens could watch their culture die piece by piece. You wanted to take our children and make them slaves, Han said in her broadcast. You wanted to destroy our cities and kill our families. So we are destroying something you value even more than life. We are destroying your identity. Major Ree had captured Emperor Zalthek and his entire High Council. The aliens were old and frail with large eyes and pale skin. They had lived their entire lives in peace, surrounded by luxury and safety. Now they were prisoners of war, held by creatures they had tried to enslave. Your Majesty, Ree said politely, you have a choice. You can surrender your empire immediately, or you can watch us destroy everything your species has ever created. You cannot do this, the Emperor whispered. There are laws of war. Rules of civilized combat, Ree laughed. Your Majesty, you threaten to destroy our children's future. Civilized rules do not apply when someone threatens our young. He activated a communicator and showed the Emperor what was happening across the Empire. Human ships were destroying alien cultural sites on 1,000 different worlds. Museums, libraries, art centers, philosophy schools. Everything that made the Veltheran civilization unique was being systematically erased. "This is monstrous," one of the alien counselors said. "This is war," Ree replied. "This is what humans are like when someone threatens our home. Your species forgot how to be monsters. We never did." Specialist A was broadcasting the Emperor's capture across the Empire. Billions of aliens watched as their leader knelt before a human soldier. "Your Emperor sent you a message 3 days ago," A said. "He told you that humans were primitive and weak. He promised you that our conquest would be easy. Look at him now." The camera focused on Emperor Zalthek's face. The alien leader was crying, something that Veltherans almost never did in public. "This is your mighty Emperor," A continued. "This is the leader who thought he could enslave humanity. He is begging for mercy from the primitive species he tried to conquer." Admiral Han was receiving reports from across the Empire. Human infiltration teams were successfully destroying cultural targets on every major world. The aliens had no defense against this kind of attack because they had never imagined that anyone would target civilian cultural sites instead of military bases. "Admiral," her communications officer reported, "we are receiving surrender offers from 17 different Veltheran colonies." "Ignore them," Han replied. "We continue the cultural destruction until the Emperor himself surrenders on behalf of the entire Empire." Major Ree was showing the Emperor live footage of the destruction. The Grand Library of Philosophical Thought, where alien scholars had debated the meaning of existence for 10,000 years. Gone. The sacred gardens of artistic expression, where aliens had created their most beautiful works. Destroyed. The memorial to the end of violence, where the Veltherans celebrated their transformation into a peaceful species. "Nothing but rubble." "Stop," the Emperor pleaded. "Please stop." "I will surrender." "Not good enough," Ree said. "You will surrender and you will accept human terms." "Complete human terms?" "What terms?" Ree smiled. It was not a kind smile. "Your empire will become a human protectorate. Your military will be disbanded. Your government will answer to human administrators. Your species will learn to live under human rules." "That is slavery," the Emperor protested. "No," Ree replied. "That is what happens when you threaten to enslave others. You get enslaved yourself." Specialist AE was broadcasting the Emperor's surrender across the galaxy. Every species in the Empire was watching as the Veltherans submitted to human rule. "This is Specialist A Jin of the Human Forces," she said. "The Veltheran Empire has surrendered. Their Emperor has accepted human terms. The war is over." But then she smiled, and her smile was as cold as the space between stars. "However, this is only the beginning. Every species in this galaxy now knows what happens when someone threatens humanity. We are not explorers. We are not traders. We are not diplomats." The image on every screen across the Empire changed to show the human flag flying over the Veltheran capital. "We are the monsters your ancestors warned you about. We are the predators you thought had been eliminated from the galaxy. We are humanity, and we have come to remind you what happens when someone disturbs a sleeping giant." The broadcast ended. Across the Veltheran Empire, billions of aliens sat in stunned silence. They had wanted to conquer a primitive species. Instead, they had awakened something far more dangerous than they had ever imagined. The age of human dominance in the galaxy had begun. President Ga Soyoung walked into the Grand Council chamber of what had once been the Veltheran Imperial Palace. The room was designed for peaceful negotiations between civilized species. Today it would be used to create a new order for the galaxy. Representatives from 400 species filled the chamber. They had come from across the galaxy to hear humanity's terms for the post-war universe. Some looked curious, others looked terrified. All of them looked very, very careful not to displease their new human overlords. "Distinguished representatives," President Ga began, her voice calm and professional. "Thank you for accepting our invitation to discuss the future of galactic civilization." She looked around the room, making eye contact with as many species as possible. They needed to understand that humans were not cruel monsters, but they were also not to be challenged. 3 months ago, the Veltheran Empire threatened to destroy Earth and enslave humanity. They believed we were a weak, primitive species that could be easily conquered. As you have all seen, they were mistaken. Fleet Admiral Jun Taik stood at attention behind the president's chair. He wore his full military uniform, complete with medals from the recent war. Every species in the room knew who he was. He was the human who had commanded the final assault on the Vaeltharan capital. He was the reason their empire no longer existed. Today, President Ga continued, we establish new rules for this galaxy. Rules that will ensure that no species ever again makes the mistake of threatening another species' children. She activated the holographic display in the center of the room. A map of the galaxy appeared, with human territories marked in blue. The Terran protection protocols are now in effect across all inhabited systems. Any species that engages in aggressive war against another species will face immediate intervention by human forces. This is not a negotiation. This is a guarantee. Ambassador Bin Nari was standing near the back of the room, watching the alien representative's reactions. She had been a spy for most of her career, skilled at reading people's emotions and intentions. What she saw now was exactly what humanity needed. Fear mixed with relief. The species were afraid of human military power, but they were also relieved that someone was finally willing to protect them from aggressive neighbors. For 50,000 years, the galaxy had lived under Vaeltharan rule through intimidation. Now they would live under human rule through superior force. We understand that many of you have questions about human intentions, President Gay said. Let me be clear. Humanity does not wish to conquer your worlds or enslave your people. We have no interest in ruling your daily lives or changing your cultures. She paused, letting them feel hopeful for a moment. However, we do insist on compliance with certain basic principles. Species that wish to remain independent must agree to our protection protocols. Species that refuse will be considered potential threats and dealt with accordingly. Former High Commander Vextai was sitting in the section reserved for Vaeltharan representatives. He wore the blue uniform of a human auxiliary officer now, complete with human rank insignia. The humans had not executed him after the war. Instead, they had given him a choice: serve in the human military or spend the rest of his life in prison. He had chosen to serve. It was better than the alternative. Vextai thought about the irony of his situation. 6 months ago, he had commanded a fleet of 12 warships and believed himself to be a mighty warrior. Now he took orders from human lieutenants who were half his age and twice as dangerous as he had ever been. The humans had taught him what real warfare looked like. They had shown him the difference between ruling through fear and ruling through superior violence. It was a lesson he would never forget. We will be establishing human military advisors on every major world, Fleet Admiral Jun announced. These advisors will help local governments maintain security and resolve conflicts peacefully. They will also ensure that no species develops weapons or technologies that could threaten galactic stability. Ambassador Bin smiled as she watched the alien representatives process this information. The humans were being very clever. They were not calling it occupation or conquest. They were calling it protection and assistance, but the result was the same. Human soldiers on every important world in the galaxy. What about our existing military forces? Asked a representative from the Keltar Confederation. Existing military forces will be reorganized under human supervision, Jun replied. We will provide training in modern combat techniques and proper military discipline. Species that prove reliable may be allowed to maintain limited defensive forces. The Keltar representative looked nervous. His species had one of the largest navies in the galaxy. But after seeing what humans had done to the Vaeltharans, he knew that size meant nothing against superior tactics and training. President Ga activated another display, showing economic and trade information. Humanity will also be taking a more active role in galactic commerce. Human trading companies will establish offices in every major system. Human banks will provide currency exchange and investment services. Human shipping companies will ensure safe and efficient transport of goods. What she did not say, but everyone understood, was that this gave humans complete control over the galactic economy. No species would be able to wage war without human approval, because they would not be able to afford it. Former Emperor Zalthek was also present, sitting in a small chair near the back of the room. He was no longer emperor of anything. The humans had dissolved the Vaeltharan government and placed his species under direct human administration. He had aged years in the past few months. His people looked to him for leadership, but he had none to give. The humans had broken something inside him when they destroyed his empire's cultural heritage. He was alive, but his spirit was crushed. Your Majesty, Ambassador Bin had said to him before the meeting, "You should be grateful. Your species threatened to enslave human children. In our history, such threats usually resulted in complete extermination of the threatening species. We are being merciful." Zelthek had not replied. What could he say? The humans were right. His empire had declared war on a species that had turned warfare into an art form. The result was inevitable. "We recognize that some species may have concerns about human intentions," President Gay continued. "To address these concerns, we are establishing the Galactic Peace Council. This council will include representatives from every major species and will advise humanity on matters of galactic security." The alien representatives looked hopeful for a moment. Perhaps they would have some input into the new order. However, Admiral Jun added, "Final authority on all security matters rests with human command. The council is advisory only." The hope faded from their faces. They would be allowed to speak, but only humans would make decisions. Ambassador Bin was observing a group of representatives from the Outer Rim territories. These species had never been part of the Veltheran Empire and had maintained their independence for millennia. They were clearly wondering if they could continue to stay neutral. A question from the Outer Rim delegate, President Ga said, noticing their concern. "What about species that prefer to remain completely independent?" The delegate asked. "We have no interest in galactic politics or conflicts." President Ga smiled, but it was a diplomatic smile that did not reach her eyes. "Independence is a luxury that requires strength to maintain," she replied. "Species that wish to remain independent must demonstrate that they can defend themselves and their neighbors from aggressive threats. If they cannot, then they require protection." The message was clear. Join the human system or prove you are strong enough to resist it. Given what had happened to the Valterans, most species would choose to join. "Are there any other questions?" President Ga asked. A Keltar representative raised his hand. "What assurance do we have that humanity will not become as oppressive as the Veltheran Empire?" Fleet Admiral Jun stepped forward. When he spoke, his voice was cold and precise. "The difference between humanity and the Veltheran Empire is simple. The Veltherans ruled through fear and threatened violence. Humans rule through superior force and proven violence. We do not make threats. We make promises." He looked directly at the Keltar representative. "We promise that species which follow our protection protocols will live in peace and prosperity. We also promise that species which threaten others will be destroyed completely and efficiently. Choose which promise you would like us to keep." The chamber fell silent. Every representative understood the choice they were being given. Ambassador Bin stepped forward for the final announcement. "The new galactic order begins immediately. Human forces are already deploying to key systems across the galaxy. Human administrators will arrive on major worlds within the next 30 days. Species that wish to discuss their specific arrangements should contact their assigned human liaison officer." President Ga stood up, indicating that the meeting was over. "This session is concluded. We look forward to working with all of you to create a peaceful and stable galaxy." As the representatives filed out of the chamber, many of them looked back at the humans with mixed emotions: fear, respect, resignation, and in some cases, gratitude. Former High Commander Vexthai lingered after the others had left. He approached Admiral Jun with a question that had been bothering